Today on the show, we're tackling the big one, the new tax act that has everybody talking. And to help us make sense of it is someone who wears many hats. He's an engineer by profession, a real estate professional by practice, and a digital creator by passion. You've probably seen his viral videos where he breaks down complicated tax laws and the financial policies into plain everyday language. He has become one of the most trusted voices explaining how government policies actually hit our wallets. Please welcome to JNA Duru Bond, the man bridging the gap between technical and the practical. Welcome to the show, sir. I want to talk quickly about what's happening in Oworonshoki. We know that you made a video about it just now, and this has everybody talking. Houses were demolished there. So do you want to tell us a bit about that situation? Because, I mean, this is what is trending on social media, and people are talking about it. We're hearing that there were some protests there, some riots there, people blocking, the third mainland bridge as well. So before we get into that, do you want to quickly talk about that as well?
So over the weekend, the Lagos State government carried out some demolitions there. According to them, some of the properties, or a lot of the properties, didn't have building approvals. Some of them were dilapidated, thereby causing or creating safety concerns. And then some of them encroached into the, Lagos Lagoon, and that's what prompted the demolition. Again, according to the Lagos State government, they said there has been series of notices spanning, over 3 years or up to 3 years, and then there was, I think, sometime last year, last year there was this campaign the Lagos State government made about everybody coming to get their building approval. So I don't want to be like, it's bad for people losing their homes, right?
Yeah.
But according to Lagos State government, again, they said there was enough notices, and this was the reason why the demolitions happened. But on the side of the people, they are saying that it is land grabbing, and some people just want to come and collect their land. So that's basically what's happening there. So they're currently protesting the demolitions.
So how true do you think it is what the people are saying? Because what we're hearing from some people is that this is an issue that has been ongoing, that people are actually trying to steal land from them, and this is not because they are encroaching or because government has sent notices, that it is bigger than what we're actually seeing in the news. Do you think there could be some level of truth to that sentiment that people
there are some allegations flying around, but I can't speak on it because I can't defend it, but there are some allegations that some people are in cahoots with the government to take the land from them, but those are just mere allegations. But Lagos government is saying that the place is kind of like, I call it a safety hazard, and that's why the demolitions are happening.
And the notices were given prior to that time. Okay. All right, so moving on from that, let us move straight to the main topic of conversation, and that is, the new tax act. And I saw a video of you saying that, yes, you're not necessarily a tax professional, but more than 90% of Nigerians, about this conversation. So I felt like you'd definitely be a perfect guest for this. So for those that are hearing about it, for the first time, what exactly, if you want to break it down in layman's terms, which is what you do with your videos, what is this new tax act? Because a lot of people are complaining. They say, why will I pay tax? The government is doing this. So I just want us to explain what does this even mean for somebody that doesn't understand the financial and tax jargon that is flying.
So do you want a short answer, or should I make it long?
I mean, as long as you can. We have an hour.
All right. So let me start from here. Taxes are basically the government taking a share from the prosperity they've created, right? So the government is saying, see, we provided you these services, we provided you this environment that has enabled you create this progress. You're earning this money, you're doing this and that. We deserve a portion of that to maintain what we have built, or to build more, right? So that is basically what taxes are. And most governments in the world, that is how they generate majority of their revenue to keep the country going. But then, when you're having this conversation with Nigerians are telling you that the government does not provide me anything. I provide my own roads. We don't have good roads. I provide my own water, my security, my electricity. So what exactly am I paying taxes for? And I would like to explain it this way. So there's something called your GDP, right? Okay. The gross domestic product. Your GDP is basically the sum total of all the goods and services a country produces, right? So you creating your content here, there's a certain measure of that value. The woman roasting corn, the tech companies, everything is summed up into our GDP. Now, currently, Nigerian GDP is about $200 and something billion, right? So that is the sum total of our value. Now, the global average for collecting taxes or measuring your taxes is there's something called your tax to GDP ratio. Now, countries, the global average is 33%, meaning that whatever it is your GDP is, most countries in the world collect at least 33% of that GDP in taxes. I don't know if I'm making sense. So meaning that if your country has a GDP of, let's say, $100 billion, your country should be making around like global average of about $33 billion in taxes alone, because they've created an environment that enabled you to create that value of $100 billion. So give us a portion of that so that we can build more. So now when it comes to the arguments that Nigerians make that the government does not provide us anything, you have to look at our GDP numbers. A country of 200 million people having a GDP of just $200 and something billion, it is a sign that the government has failed. How do I put this? Now, Brazil is a country that has our similar population size, right? But Brazil has a GDP of over $2 trillion. So the same 200 and something million people in Brazil are creating values of over 2 trillion. But 200 and something million people in Nigeria are doing just 200 and something billion. So that shows you that we are not productive enough. And why we're not productive enough? Because the government has failed in providing us the right environment to perform, optimally. So that is it. So that's 200 billion that we have, the government has a right to collect something from it. So if they were doing what they were supposed to do, if the government was, meeting up to their responsibilities, our GDP as a country of 200 million people should be at least $1 trillion. But because the government has failed, that's why we are 200 billion. So they still deserve to get something from that 200 billion.
But the argument that, I know that you've lookily said it. You've said that the government has failed. So if the government has failed, why are you trying to encroach? Because what a lot of arguments are is that you're going to make the poor people poorer. And that is the argument a lot of Nigerians have, that what have you done? You don't provide healthcare for us. You don't provide good roads for us. People are dying every day. Electricity. Let's not forget that this same government recently removed,
subsidies.
Subsidy. So it's almost like it's just back to back to back to back. And it seems like there's no breathing space for the average Nigerian. How do you respond to that?
Again, the reason why, the failures you just outlined is the reason why our GDP numbers are that poor, right? So if the government had done what they are supposed to do, we'll be much more prosperous than we are now. So that is basically it. Now, that's another question you asked.
Yes. Basically, people saying that, you are not
okay, yes, that the new tax law is making people poorer. That is not true, right? So if you actually take your time and look at the numbers or, analyze it, you see that for those earning below 2 million naira a month, they are going to be paying less taxes than, they were previously paying. So from 0 to 800,000 naira a year, so that's about 60-something thousand per month. They are not paying any taxes, right? And then from that 800 to 2 million a year is about, 2 million a month is about 24 million. So from above 800,000 to 24 million, you're going to be paying cheaper, lower taxes than we are paying in previous administrations. But if you're not earning above that 2 million a month, then your taxes are going to be slightly higher. If you want to, because I say government website where you can actually put in these numbers, fiscalreforms.ng. So if you want, you can just practically, check, come up with numbers and then see what the taxes are. So that website will tell you, okay, this is your salary, this is how much taxes you're going to be paying, and this is how much taxes you would have paid in the old administration or whatever. So
another question people ask is that how are the taxes going to be taken? Because to be honest, there are people that, a lot of Nigerians don't pay taxes. My personal income tax, or a lot of Nigerians actually don't pay. We've seen people come out to say, why should we even pay these taxes? So the argument that a lot of people also have is that how are the taxes going to be taken? Let's say you have your salary, but you're also an entrepreneur. Is the government also going to be taxing you from your business and taxing you from your salaries? How is that supposed to work? Because people are saying that, you think you're earning a small amount of money, but a lot of people are low-key earning above 800,000 naira because of the multiple things that they're doing. And no matter what you say you're earning, if it is above that amount, it is going to be an increase, in the taxes that you're going to pay.
All right. So there are two versions of this. You have the personal income tax and then the corporate income tax. So that personal income tax is tax on individuals, and then the corporate income tax is the tax on companies, right? Now, sorry, just come again. I kind of missed my train of thought.
So that's okay. So people are saying that, how are these taxes going to be taken? Because
okay, yes,
people have
yes.
personal income tax.
Yes.
People have salaries. People also have their businesses, multiple streams of income. A lot of the economy right now survives on people having multiple streams of income, right?
Yeah.
So
yes. So your taxes are, because there is this misconception a lot of people have that government is going to tax you on every amount in your bank account, because the man in charge of the tax reform, Mr. Taiwo Idele, he made statements about government tracking bank accounts, and then people are saying, if I have 60 million in my account, government, no, taxes are only taken on your income, right? Now, if you're an employee, that one is straightforward, right? Your company handles that. But then if you're an entrepreneur, you are either a sole proprietorship or a limited liability company. And in this new dispensation, it is advisable for everybody to register a company, not just your business name. Have a proper business where your business is an entity of its own, and then you are a separate entity, right? So once you do that, you can structure it in such a way that under that your company, you're paying yourself your salary, right? So with that your salary, you're paying your personal income tax. But as a small business, if you're earning below, if your revenue or your turnover for a year is less than 50 million, you're not going to pay the government anything. You're going to pay any taxes, right? And then if you're not earning above 50 million, there are some allowable deductions that you can have, and then the balance is what government will not tax at 30%. So, I mean, most small businesses, their turnovers are below 50 million. And then if you're doing above 50 million, then, I mean, you're no longer a small business, right? And then, you have to pay the taxman or the government their dues,
All right, we're still having conversations right here on John Air about the new tax act that is, coming to effect next year, 2026. Has a lot of Nigerians talking. Duru Bond is here to help us break this down so that you understand, and you can also call in to ask questions at some point in the show. Also, we want to say a big shout out to our sponsors, Credit Direct, for making today's show possible. If you're looking for a way to invest and to grow money, Credit Direct is the way to go. So just go to Google Play, go to your App Store, and download Credit Direct today. Okay, let's come back to this conversation. Now, what are the biggest changes that will affect the ordinary Nigerians? Because to be honest, it feels like a lot of people are talking about this now, but people don't realize that, they were paying taxes before in some form when you go to buy food, VAT and all of that. So what are some key changes that people should take note of when it comes to this new tax act?
I mean, the major change is that everybody will start paying. And it will be advisable because, I've seen a lot of comments, people saying we can avoid it through crypto, stuff like that. If you listen to the conversations by the taxman, that is Mr. Taiwo Idele, he said that they went to some certain countries to understand how these taxes are collected. Because somebody asked me this morning, was like, okay, because he's a crypto trader, was like, what we just do, we just move all our this into crypto. Government cannot track it. I said, Nigeria is not the only country that uses crypto, right? I don't think our crypto penetration is higher than in the United States, but they collect the taxes. So your crypto is not invincible. So wherever it is your money is, the government will find it and collect the taxes on it. So it is in our best interest because we are operating what they call self-assessment. So you're the one that will say, okay, this is my income, this is what is for me, and this is what the government can collect taxes on, right? In as much as the tax officers are trained not to believe you, but it is in your best interest to at least put something forward and then let them investigate. Now, if for whatever reason you overpay, you'll be given a refund, and if for whatever reason you underpay, do you understand? They will come and meet you, to pay your taxes. So it is. So the major change is that everybody should prepare their minds that from next year there will be no hiding place. So it is better to understand it now and then prepare for it ahead of January when it starts.
So everybody is definitely going to be paying taxes come 2026.
I even heard I heard recently now that having a tax education number now is a priority to opening bank accounts now. So everybody now was have a tax ID, so we can be able to track you.
All right, now can you explain how it affects? Okay, you've already explained how it affects salaries, small businesses, everyday spending. But let's move to everyday spending, because people are saying we're hearing some news also that when you buy fuel at the filling station, there's going to be a level of tax there. So do you want to explain some everyday spending things that people are going to be paying taxes on?
All right, so you're talking about two different things. So you have the normal VAT, value added tax, that you pay on certain goods and services. Now, in the past administration, we paid VAT on everything, but this new administration now, they've removed VAT on like say basic things, like we don't pay VAT on food anymore, we don't pay VAT on rent and some other, they scrapped all those things. However, I'm sure what you're talking about, the fuel, is the 5%, what they call it, the 5% fuel tax. One clarification I would like to make is that it didn't come up in this administration, right? It has always been in the tax laws. But why it came up now is that this new administration now try to unify everything, just make it a whole, and then it doesn't start in January. Like Mr. Taiwo said, it starts when the Minister of Finance says it will start. So there'll be an official gazette that'll be published and say, okay, this is when we're going to do this. And I understand people that are offended or disappointed by that news, because yes, for me, that one in particular, the 5% fuel tax, I think is unnecessary. This is the wrong time to do it, and I don't think the money that the government thinks they're going to make is going to be very significant. Because let's look at it. They said 5% tax on your fuel consumption, right? They say we consume about 30 to 40 million liters daily, right? Then if you just take 5% of that, because that's basically what it is. And let me just clear that misconception before I explain this. What blogs carried is that if you buy fuel of 10k, you'll be paying 500. Then people are now saying, I'll be buying 9,999. So so what the thing is that even if you're buying 1,000 naira fuel, you're going to pay 15 naira. So any amount of fuel you're buying, they intend to tax it
5%.
The 5% on it. But again, it is not starting in January. It will be announced, but I do not expect this administration to do it, because it is the timing is wrong. And
by the timing being wrong, you're saying because of the removal of fuel subsidy, right?
Yeah, the removal of fuel subsidy, the general hardship in the country. Nigerians are complaining, like the government took everything away, so there's no cushion, and you're not trying to add more, right? So when I come out and talk about the tax policies, why I'm supporting it is because the way this country has been working is like this. So imagine you're living in a block of apartments, right? 6 apartments, and only one person, they collect service charges. Service charges is what they use to maintain the environment. If pumping machine spoils or something, security, but only one person is paying that service charge. What will happen is that person will be made to pay more than what he's supposed to pay, because other people are not cooperating. And then over time, after some time, that person will stop paying, because he's saying, I'm paying all these things, yet they are not sweeping the compound, yet there's no water, right? Because the money that person is paying is not enough to provide those services. So that person in turn will stop paying. So that's what has been happening in Nigeria. So a lot of people have not been paying, and the few people that have been paying seem to be paying a lot, and they are saying, I'm paying my taxes. What do I have to, what am I gaining from it? Because a lot of people are not paying. So the government is saying now everybody's going to pay, and over time I believe that services are going to improve. And not just that, we are trusting government. I also believe one thing I believe that this is going to do is that it will make people, wake up to their responsibilities as citizens. They will start to demand more from the government, because imagine, I'm a young person earning ₦1 million, and I'm paying 15% of my salary in taxes. That's about 150k. Do you think a policeman can slap me on the road? When is my salary that is going to pay you, right? But because a lot of people are not doing this, so they do not know the extent of their rights. But I believe that by the time this starts to happen, Nigerians will now start to demand more, right? Because everybody talks about how police brutality, and I have never experienced it, right? This is somebody that's schooled in the East, where you have the whatever it is that's happening there in Lagos. That never happened, because they cannot try it, because I know my rights. Do you understand? And if you're confronted with the police, it's either you're guilty or you're not guilty, right? Now, if I'm not guilty, you cannot touch me. If I'm guilty, okay, what is my fine? Let me give you an example. Was it sometime in August? I went to see my parents on the mainland, and I was driving out, and then these VIO people stopped me. I stopped because I felt I didn't have any issue. Only for them to not check my car particulars, and they told me it had expired. But I knew that it was to expire August. But they caught me, I think, on the 20th or 21st. I mean, they caught me on the 28th or 26th, but this expired on the 21st. Mm-hmm. But what's in my mind was that I'll have to renew it in September. Do you understand? So when they checked my paper, they saw it. One of them was like, come down from the car. I said, you're not entering my car. Let's go. So we drove into their office. I paid my 20,000 naira fine, and I drove out. So if any official is catching you, it's either you're guilty or you're not guilty. If you're guilty, go and pay your fine. What is my fine? I'll pay the fine. If I'm not guilty, you don't have any reason to touch me. So I believe that by the time we start to do this, Nigerians will now begin to demand more from.
But people could argue that I mean, it's easier said than done. You're saying it this way, but we know that people constantly daily experience levels of police brutality, and people even stand up for their rights and still get, beaten or thrown into trucks or things like that. So a lot of Nigerians could listen and say that, doesn't this sound a bit insensitive, to what people are going through?
If you don't know your rights, it's your business. I mean, I'm also a young person. Do you understand? I don't have any special privileges.
Yeah.
Okay. Another example. I was driving down Ozumba, by the way. For those that are aware, there are these two guys, RRS, down on bike, that patrol that place. Yeah. So when I was just driving past, I think that Seplat building, I was on call, and then I beat the traffic lights. So just after I passed it, they came and double crossed me and blocked me. I was like, what did I do? They told me, you beat traffic lights. You're answering phone call. I said, okay, how far? I could have defended myself, come out and made a scene because there was no evidence. There was no camera that captured me or whatever. I could have made a scene. I said, what is this? They said, go office. I said, I'm in a hurry. I just said to them and left. Do you understand? So it is knowing what your rights are. If you are not guilty, they cannot touch you. Do you understand? And I believe that, especially this, like I said, I'm earning 500K. I'm paying 15% of my salary in taxes. So about 80-something thousand to the government. You cannot, Nigerians will begin to, that's pain that, my salary that you're using to pay you will stand up for yourself. I don't believe that what will happen. And over time, Nigerians will begin to demand more. Yeah.
We're still in studio with Duru Bond, and of course, this episode is brought to you by our partners at Credit Direct. If you're looking to grow money, looking to invest money, looking to get loans as well, Credit Direct is the way to go. We're talking about if you're investing, we're talking about profit of up to 21% per annum. So you might want to check out Credit Direct, which is of course backed by FCMB. So what you need to do right now, go to your App Store, Google Store, and of course download the Credit Direct app today. So a lot of people would say, Mr. Duru, that you seem to be quite confident. I think a worry here is that yes, we're going to pay these taxes, because the truth is, at the end of the day, once this is implemented, like you said, nobody's going to be able to hide. So we are going to pay. People are going to argue and shout, but we know how it works here. We're eventually going to pay. But the argument that people might also have is that, do you trust that the government is actually going to do what they are supposed to do with the taxes? I think that is a major concern here, that the government will collect these taxes and not fulfill promises. Because again, countries that collect taxes, we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about roads, we're talking about, better police funding, we're talking about a lot of things. But that is a worry. There's a level of distrust that Nigerian people have with, to be honest, any government. And I think it's really worse with this government, especially coming from the Buhari government to this government. It's really high, the level of distrust. So I think that's a major worry that a lot of Nigerians have. Don't you think that is something to consider?
No, I understand it. To be honest, I understand it. But my response to that is, what is the alternative? Should we remain the way we are? Because the government cannot function without those taxes. Now, I'm sure one argument a lot of people will be having online now or on air is they always tend to mention some Middle Eastern countries. Qatar does not have those; they don't pay taxes. Saudi Arabia don't pay taxes. And my response to that is, what is the population of those countries? Right? You're comparing Qatar is what, 3 million people. That is one local government or two local governments in Lagos State, and they have the same crude oil production that no. I think Qatar is 3 million. They produce 3 million barrels of oil per day. Nigeria is doing 1.5 million barrels of oil per day for 200 million people. Why people are doing 3 million for 3 million people? So it's almost each citizen of Qatar has 1 million a barrel of oil per day, which is about $65. I don't know if you're getting my point. Saudi Arabia is 35 million people, and they produce 10 million barrels, 9 to 10 million barrels per day. So you cannot just compare. You cannot compare. So take those ones out. Now let's look at other oil producing countries that also collect taxes that have our similar population. America, for example, America has 300 and something million people. America produces about 18 to 19 million barrels of crude oil per day. Yet they tax their people like crazy. America collects like 30% in taxes or 30% in taxes. Do you understand? So these are the people you're supposed to be comparing ourselves with. Look at Brazil. Brazil has a population of 200 and something million people. Similar population with ours. Guess Brazil's what they collected in taxes last year. 500 billion. Over $500 billion. How much did Nigeria collect? 19. Do you understand? The same. So we cannot just function. So if you're saying that no, we don't trust the government, then I'll say let us remain the way we are. Because I'm not saying provide us that. Government is saying we don't have money. Nigerians will tell you we are oil rich. You're not oil rich. You are 1.5 million barrels of crude oil for 200 million people. You are not oil rich. You're oil poor. And then you're not paying taxes. So how do you want the government to function? So
you're saying that a lot of people need to sit down and look at this from a logical point of view, that there is no way.
Yes, so let us do it, and then I believe that over time we'll now begin to hold the government accountable. That's just how it is.
Okay, so who really benefits from this law, and who are the major people that will shoulder this burden? Because again, let's be honest, as much as we're looking for collective growth, people are also thinking about themselves. It's hard to feed, it's hard to do this. How much are people going to shoulder? And who are people that are going to benefit, from this new law that is going to take over? I know you've said, answer this in bits and pieces, but just so that people have a bigger picture here. Who are people that are going to shoulder most of this, and who are people that are going to benefit from this law that is taking place?
Yeah. So the way it had worked before was that the rich got away with it. Like those that those that were earning well were not paying a lot of taxes, while the people down the ladder were paying more. So what this new tax law aims to do is to twist that balance. So those on the lower end pay less, and those higher up pay more. So like I said, if you're earning below 66,000 per month, you're not going to pay any taxes at all. Then if you're earning between that 67 to about 2 million per month, you'll be paying less than what you'd have been paying before. Then those that are now earning above 2 million, they are not going to pay more. So that's just it. So those lower income earners will benefit, and then those that are earning more, have to pay more. And also, another group of people that will benefit are small businesses. Like I said, if your business is earning below 50 million, you're not going to pay any taxes. However, like I said, there's a difference between
50 or 100 million.
50. So when they were doing when the proposal was out, it was 100 that was being pushed. But what they later signed was 50. So
people argue that there's a level of imbalance there, because there are a couple of companies there. There are MSMEs. There are also some companies that so if a company makes, say, 30-40 million per year compared to another company that is making 10 million per year, there's a level of people argue that there's a level of imbalance there if all of them within that ratio are all not paying taxes. I don't know if that's what I'm trying to say. So my annual turnover for my company is, say, 49 million or 48 million, and then another smaller company's annual turnover is 5 million, 10 million, per year. Is that not still a level of imbalance there?
I don't think so. They are both small businesses. Just like saying person earning 66,000 and then another person earning, let's say, a cleaner or something earning 30,000. They are still the same, lower income earners. So it's like small businesses,
Now we know that there's going to be the Nigeria Revenue Service. And so what role is the Nigeria Revenue Service going to play compared to the old FIRS, especially in this digital tax enforcement era? But before you answer that question, I think we have a phone call here. So let's take this one. Welcome to the show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Adiola.
All right, Adiola. Welcome. Good evening. Where are you calling us from?
Badagry.
All right, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay, so I missed a certain point. Did he say if your turnover is around 50 million annually, you'll not pay taxes at all?
Yes.
Corporate.
Corporate. Talk about businesses here.
Oh, okay. That's one. The other thing is, what happens to the years before next year, before when it starts? Are they going to go back and check the accounts and probably just tax the accounts and all that?
To be honest, that is not clear yet, But
what?
Ideally, it's supposed to start from 24. But we hope that they are going. I mean, it's supposed to start from 25, But that has not been made clear yet. Maybe to start from 25 or start from that 26 when the new laws take effect.
Hello.
Okay, so the network is bad. I'm struggling to hear you guys.
Okay, so I think just ask all your questions and then it will answer once you drop the call. Do you want to just ask?
Okay, that's just my question.
All right.
I didn't hear the answer to that.
All right, so just listen now, and then it will take that response again. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Sorry, do you want to respond to that again?
Yeah. So I'm saying that is not clear yet. But I'll say normally it's from 25, but we don't know whether it's going to start from 25 or from 2026 when the new law takes effect. But that has not been made clear yet.
Yeah, but I think these are kind of questions, instead of us trying to fight it, because again, this government is going to go ahead with it. These are the questions that we should be asking. Welcome to the show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Tunde from Ikorodu.
Tunde from Ikorodu. All right, go ahead. Ask your question, please.
I just want to disagree with something.
All right, go ahead.
It looks like a way forward, but it said when we start contributing, paying more taxes, maybe we should be able to hold them accountable at that time. But if we cannot hold them accountable for our 19 billion now, how are we sure we can hold anybody accountable when it's on that? So let's be sincere with ourselves. If I give you 300 naira instead of 1,000 naira, and I can see the impact that 300 naira is making, if you ask me for 1,000 naira, I will gladly give you that 1,000 because I've seen the impact 300 naira is making when I give you that 300 naira. So it's a simple fact. Let's be sincere with ourselves. There is no promise, there is no guarantee that we can hold them accountable if we pay the normal tax we're supposed to be paying. That's just what I want to disagree with.
So my response to you is, so what is the alternative? We should stay the way we are.
You say?
So what is the alternative? We should stay the way we are.
No, the truth is, like I said before I made my argument, is it's more of a reality that if we pay more tax, definitely we should be able to grow as a nation. But the fact is, the present one we are paying is not being implemented. We don't see the impact. The truth is, somehow I like to abide by the rules. Nobody asks me for tax. I walk into the tax office every year to go and pay. And the funniest part is, they will be asking me, what do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with it? Do you want to do something with the tax card? And I'm like, no, I just want to pay. Self-assessment, you understand? They are even surprised that you are willing to come and pay tax. They don't come and pay. So I'm not the one that is against paying tax. What I'm just saying is, when you say maybe if we pay better, we'll be able to hold them accountable, is what I'm arguing that. If we cannot hold them accountable for 19 billion now, there's nothing that gives us the guarantee of holding them accountable for whatever we'll pay later. But it's a good thing. At least for once, they are looking at the small business and they are not going to choke them. That is a good thing. At least out of everything, you always see the positive.
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts. So I don't think it's disagreeing with the pain. It's just saying that you said we might be able to, we will be able to hold the government more accountable, but he's saying that he disagrees, that he's going to pay. People, again, what I've said is that people are going to pay. So all these arguments, people, they will find a way to collect the money from you. But does this mean that we will genuinely be able to hold the government accountable?
Now, I gave an example with somebody like this, where I said you're living, I can take this up.
Yeah.
Where I said you're living in an apartment, a block of flats, and only one person is paying the tax. Only one person is paying the service charge for the apartment. You see that over time, that person is going to get discouraged, which is what this guy is sounding like now. Yeah. And the reason why he's not feeling the impact of his tax is because a lot of people are not paying. But if more people become like him, then there'll be much more money to do things. Let's even say, now, like I explained, that the global average for collecting for measuring taxes is tax to GDP ratio. Yeah. Now, our GDP, let's call it 250 million because it's not really clear, but let's call it $250 billion, right? If you take that global average, let's say 30%, so that comes up to about $70 billion that the government, if you give this same economy that everybody's complaining about, if you give it to like the American government, to an average Europe, even the European self is as high as 40 something. Like France, their tax to GDP is 45%. So meaning that if you give this same Nigerian economy to the American government or European government, they are going to milk $70 billion from us. As small as we are, they are going to make 70 billion. But Nigeria, our tax to GDP is around 10% or if not less, and it just came up, with this. It came up 2023, 2024 with Tinubu's administration, and the plan is to take it up to I think 15% or so. So even that, with how high it's going to be, is still below global average. We are paying lower. I think the lowest is about 14% now. Like the global average of the low band. Nigeria is currently less than 10, with the plans to take it up to 15.
All right, I think we have the person that's been persistently calling, so let's take this one. Welcome to the show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good evening, Jay. My name is Shegun. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Mr. Shegun, good to have you on the show. Go ahead. Talk to us.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the topic. I think it's a very interesting one. You see, it's so sad the kind of situation we find ourselves as Nigerians. We Nigerians, we are the most difficult people to deal with. I'm so sorry to say that. You see, tax. Tax is a law. It is a law. Anywhere in the world, tax is a law, and it's a law that must be taken seriously. Previously, our tax laws are unascertainable. They don't meet modern realities. Now, this present government has come out to bring our tax law together, to make it good, to make it accessible, and make it in tune with modern day realities. Now people are complaining. You see, just like the example the speaker and the guest in the studio cited, you live in a house, you complain to your landlord, this is bad, and when your landlord tells you, okay, let's begin to pay for what do they call it? Maintenance. Yes, service charge, you complain. In Nigeria, we complain about this, we complain about that. Now, when government tries to bring out some new policies, introduce policies that will make things easier and better, we'll complain again. You see, the problem with us as Nigeria, we need to change our mentality. That's when, at the last government said that change begins with you and me. They know what they're saying. It's honest. It's the truth. We are so pessimistic. Nigerians, we believe in freebies. Nigerians, we believe in miracles. We want things to change overnight. No, things don't change like that. Everybody has to play their part. I know government has frauded the people in the past. I know government has cheated the people in the past. But here's a new government that is trying to rebuild from the scratch, and we have to bear the brunt. If we don't bear the brunt, there cannot be a miracle anywhere. That is the truth. That's why I like what the guest was saying, that is there any alternative? There is none. There is none. That's the truth. And we just have to face the truth. It's a bitter truth. And we should be optimistic about it. Let's stop being pessimistic. Nigerians, we are too pessimistic. We are too negative-minded, and things don't work that way. Let us give it a try. Let us allow it to work. Now the government is trying to put up our tax laws, trying to make it uniform, make it accessible, and make it in tune with modern day realities. We should appreciate that. That's my contribution. And as journalists, let us encourage people. Let us align with these laws. It's for our betterment and our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shegun, for calling the show. Thank you so much. Hearing what Shegun has said, do you think that the government also has to do a job of properly educating the average Nigerian? Because we're speaking a lot of English here. We're glad for our listenership here. Over 1 million listeners every month. We're glad. But 1 million listeners every month is not how many percent. We are a country of over 200 million people. So we know that a lot of people need to be educated. Don't you think the government should invest in, we have the National Orientation Agency. I don't know what they're doing now. But don't you think that these are the kind of things that they should take in the local dialects, in Yoruba, in the different, and take to different communities and explain to people this is what's going to happen in 2026, and also break it down and let people see the advantages? I think that what we're saying is a lot of back and forth between the government and the people. We're not seeing people actually saying, you know what, we're here to take care of these people. And we understand the pessimism, because the truth is that I understand what Shegun is saying. We're a very pessimistic set of people. But when we've suffered the way we've suffered, pessimism is the way, it's a trauma response, in my opinion. So don't you think that there needs to be, we see the work that you're doing via your own platform, but don't you think the government should invest in carrying this message to different people?
To the grassroots. Yeah, you're right. As much as I would say the chairman of the tax committee, Tawo Idele, he's doing a lot, because he has been on almost every channel, repeating from when it was still a proposal to when it became a law. When it was still to when it became a law, he has been speaking about it, multiple channels, multiple platforms. But like you said, the National Orientation Agency also has a lot of work to do. I know many times people have commented that I'm doing the job of National Orientation Agency, that the ones that are supposed to be, decimating this information. I hope they will do better, as we get closer. So.
Welcome to the show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Go ahead, please. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Jay from Lekki.
All right, namesake. Go ahead.
I have two questions. The first one is this tax of 18. What about these people, these hand workers, these POS that do receive money in their bank? You understand what I'm saying? You can't calculate whatever they receive in their bank as their total income. You understand? And how is government going to sort these people out? That's number one. Number two, we are talking about pessimists, like we are talking about Nigerian are pessimist people. No, I don't think we are pessimists. We don't trust our government again. Is the government working towards trusting them? Look at how they inflate whatever infrastructure they are building in the country. Look at what they are doing. Look at how much they said they want to renovate MM1 and MM2. That cost alone can build a modern airport. Now, that's number one. Number two, look at what they are talking about, Lagos-Calabar Expressway that they're trying to build. Look at how much they're calling the price. That price alone can build a whole can build a road that can connect the whole Nigeria together. But look at the project today. I can bet you that project might not be completed with this same tenor. So how do you expect Nigerians to be optimistic about this same government? They will build one small road. They call it $1 billion. Did you know how sickening is that? They remove fuel subsidy. We didn't see any impact. Can you name one good thing this government has did? Nobody is fighting any government. I don't care who is there. I just want a betterment for my own country people. I don't care who is there. They are inflating price up and down. The national passport is going 100,000, 200,000. It doesn't make sense. We are not seeing anything. We just want results. Nigeria is if you look at the way this country is being run, you will know this country is the very luckiest people. Like the way this government is running this country. Like they are the very, very lucky. You can't be running a country like this and not expect your citizens to voice out. And you are calling us pessimists. Look at on street today. Look at everywhere. You can't even travel from here to Ibadan without us getting scared of getting kidnapped. So how do you want us to trust the government? They will collect this tax now. I can bet you now that next year you hear that they want to renew one government tax for $1 billion. How do you expect the citizen? And they are still doing it because nobody is voicing out. I'm telling you, because they just said Nigeria is very simple. I just pray it doesn't get to the point we start voicing out. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. How do you respond to that? I just want to also say before Mr. Bond says something, I feel like also as Nigerians, we do have issues with numbers, you know. That's what I'm just going to say. We do have issues with we have issues with numbers. Do you want to respond to what he has said so far about again the pessimism issue, but also about the POS situation as well?
All right, so let's start with the POS. So like I said, for people like that, it would be best for them to register as businesses, which they actually are, right? Because there are so many things we just take for granted that don't actually work in developed societies. And again, taxes are on income, not on your inflow. Now, if I'm a POS person, you send 10 million to my, I said 10 million, you send 10K into my, or Shebi charges is 200, I think, for 10K. Yeah. So you send 10K to my account, right? And I pay out 10,000, only 200 is in that account. What I actually have is 200, not 10,200. So they are going to monitor that inflow and outflow. And then it's now also the onus is on you to also take your time and then properly itemize it when you're doing your self-assessment and tell them, this was how the money came in, this was how much I paid out. My income here is, let's say $1 million pass through my account. I think POS charge is like 1%, and it's only maybe 10,000 is my own. So don't go and look at 1 million plus and think they pay me 1 million plus, I gave out 1 million, so it's only this balance here that is my own. So that is how businesses like that should be structured. And then the issue of trust, again, I understand it, right? But what is the alternative? Now let's look at this, right? Our budget for 2025 is $35 billion. That is to provide everything, healthcare, education, everything everybody feels the government should provide for us is $35 billion. All the stealing they are going to steal is inside that $35 billion. But see South Africa, a country of 65 million people, their budget for this same 2025 is over 200 billion, if I'm not mistaken, if not more. I have to confirm it. Do you understand? So we don't have enough revenue. So if you say, the government is stealing, this 35 billion is similar to Ghana's budget. I think Ghana is 36 or thereabouts. Yeah. I don't know why all these things are escaping my head now. But just take your time and look at it. So, because every year the government makes a budget, say, this is how much. And also mind this, the budget is not how much you're going to make. This is, for everything we're going to provide for these people, this is the amount, 36 billion.
This is what we're spending.
This is what we are spending. But we are not going to make all those 36 billion. We are still going to borrow some money to make up for this 36 billion. So you see how poor it is for a country of 200 million people. Meanwhile, smaller countries of 10 million, their yearly budget is over 200 billion. Like there's a video I made about the city of New York. City of New York, their budget for last year, just New York City, do you understand, was, I don't want to call wrong numbers, but hundreds of billions. So we are not just making enough. Now, if we take our, let's say even say 20%, if we increase our tax to GDP of 20%, right? 20% of our current GDP number is 50 billion. So only from taxes alone, we are going to meet our budget spending. We don't need to borrow.
Yeah.
So you see how it is. So it's if you don't want it, then we should be okay with the way we are.
Okay. Let's take one final call as we wrap this up. Welcome to the show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Let's do this quickly. What's your name?
Good evening, Jay. My name is Bayo.
All right, Bayo. Good to have you on the show. Go ahead.
Thank you for having Duru Bond. Duru Bond, good evening. I follow you on Twitter. I think you are doing a very good job.
Thank you.
But I have a question. My question is, when you say the government will tax you, that you don't have an hiding place, you don't have where to hide, they will look for you and they will tax you, especially when you mention the issue of crypto. What do you really mean? As in, do you think the government has the wherewithal? Do you think they have everything they can do to get everybody and tax everybody in Nigeria? Thank you.
Yeah, I believe so. The taxman has given that assurance. Probably it might not be immediate, but over time, I believe they will improve the system to.
Do you think that? Do you think also having the Nigeria Revenue Service, that's a new one, the NRS, different from the FIRS, will also help with doing this, because what we're hearing is that the Nigeria Revenue Service is going to be involved in more,
taking charge of everything, putting everything in the central port, and then sharing it. Yeah, I mean, I have a debate about that one.
And they will be more digital.
Yeah, they'll be more digital. So usually the taxes were like by state, and then they remit some to the FIRS, right? But now all the taxes go to the center, and then it is now shared down to the states. But it's kind of contradictory, because the same administration is talking about creating state police. It's giving this sense of trying to create regional governments where everybody is individual. So it kind of like contradicts. Do you understand? But let's see how it's going to be.
All right, let me read a few messages as we wrap this up. Well done, Mr. Speaker. Right now, this present government has denied us access to expenditure since February 2024. How do we hold our government accountable is the worry of every Nigerian. All right, Frank from Sulere here says, good evening, team. I don't understand what the analyst is saying. For a government that has not been accountable to what subsidy is used for and every other tax before now, the countries that you are comparing Nigeria with provide there is education for kids till 18, functioning healthcare system, good road networks, good benefits for kids, easy fight processes. Even this government takes 100% of everyone's salary. All they want to do is steal funds for their future generations. Every Nigerian knows this analysis. There is no need to analyze to us. Take tax and use it well. Don't take tax to steal. I just want to also say here, before Duru Bond wraps this up for us, final comments there, that a lot of time when we compare ourselves to maybe the Americans, free education. American education is one of the most expensive in the world. In fact, people pay debts until they enter the grave in America. So as much as we like to compare ourselves to those countries, let's be aware that, it is not easy in some of these countries. So, Drew, how do you respond to this person saying, again, that they don't believe in what the government is going to do? A lot of these countries you're mentioning, there's free education, good healthcare, good roads, all of that.
I was just trying to Google America's budget for education for 2025.
Okay.
I'm coming. Just because we're out of time. No, just check it.
To be able to answer that, yeah.
Do you understand? So
okay.
I was trying to...
Yeah. So as we are checking that, how do you want us to wrap up this conversation for people that are listening?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to wait and see. But I'm optimistic about it. I believe that there's only so much that they can steal. There's only so much that they can steal. And when there's enough in the pot, we'll begin to see some changes, and we'll make demands as at when due. Because once you're seeing that money leave your account once or twice, they say this is for tax. There's this natural anger that will enter, and I believe everybody will begin to demand more from the government.
All right, and that's how I wrap up this conversation here. Thank you so much, Duru Bond, for coming through. I hope we can have you again, because I feel like there are many. You talk about so many things, so there are so many areas that we can definitely call you in. So thank you so much for coming through on the show. All right, so that's our time on the show today. We have G on Air Mondays, Wednesdays, and of course Fridays, 6 p.m. right here on 88.5 UFM. What I'm going to say to wrap up with Jay's take is that you need to get educated. We need to know what these tax laws are actually saying. A lot of us use ChatGPT. A lot of us are on Google and on social media. These are the things we should be checking. These are things we should know about. Also, I want to highlight that, as it's something that a lot of us Nigerians don't do when we are sending money out of our bank accounts. Narration. That narration banks put there is not just a toy. You want to ensure that if you're sending money out, oh, this is offering, this is for food, this is transportation, because these are the things that are going to count or affect you when you're declaring taxes come 2026. Okay, like I said, Journey happens Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 6 p.m. right here on 88.5 UFM. Of course, the video will be out tomorrow on my YouTube, J on Air TV. Okay, I'll be back here on Wednesday. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye for now.